what purpose, what deeper purpose is there in my work, and what is the meaning behind what I'm doing? And I could see that, especially amongst the younger generation. There was a lot of that. And these were all very brilliant people, highly qualified. And they would enter the organization with a huge amount of inspiration and desire to make a difference. And then a year, 2 years in, a lot of that would be kind of squashed.
Hi, friends. Welcome to the Aspire and Acquire podcast. I'm your host, Sandeep Suri. Join me for listening to some incredible stories about some of the best professionals from very diverse fields like combat flying, robotic surgery, dancing, tea farming, journalism, deep sea diving, and so on. These accomplished professionals are not just outstanding in their jobs, but also have unique stories to share with us. We have tried to make the show truly global by having these guests from different parts of the world. In today's fast-paced world where success is often measured by tangible outcomes, we sometimes overlook the immense potential lying dormant within individuals. Understanding and unlocking this potential is not just a personal journey, it's a collective responsibility that impacts workplaces, communities, and even the world at large. Yet, this journey is fraught with challenges, self doubt, societal expectations, and a lack of clarity on what full potential truly means. In this episode of Aspire and Acquire, we delve into the essence of what it takes to realize and harness one's full potential. How do we bridge the gap between who we are and who we could become? What role do leaders play in creating environments that nurture growth and self-discovery? Today, we have invited Mark Vandeneijnde, the co-founder of Being at Full Potential. Mark is a visionary in the field of human development with a mission to help individuals and organizations unlock their highest potential. Through innovative tools like the Human Potential Model, he empowers people to break through limitations, discover their authentic selves, and achieve true fulfillment. Mark's insights are not just theoretical, they are deeply rooted in real world applications that transform lives. Tune in as we explore the challenges, opportunities, and profound insights that come with unleashing the power within. Hello, Mark. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the Aspire and Acquire show. Thank you for joining us. We are thrilled to welcome you and look forward to an inspiring conversation.
Thank you, Sandeep. I'm very happy to be here. Looking forward to this conversation as well.
Sure. So, Mark, let's start with your journey. Can you share the story behind founding Being at Full Potential? What inspired you to embark on this path of helping individuals and organizations unlock their true potential?
So this goes back to 2010, 14 years ago.
Wow.
And I was
Okay.
working in a large corporate I'd been there for 10 years. And I would say that there's two things. One is my kind of awareness and connection to the dissatisfaction that a lot of people were feeling, and specifically around topic like the themes of purpose and meaning. So what purpose, what deeper purpose is there in my work, and what is the meaning behind what I'm doing? And I could see that, especially amongst the younger generation. There was a lot of that. And these were all very brilliant people, highly qualified. And they would enter the organization with a huge amount of inspiration and desire to make a difference. And then a year, 2 years in, a lot of that would be kind of squashed. And yeah, and so this was one part, and the other part was my personal journey into coaching and understanding the power of holding people in their full potential and seeing them in their wholeness, and how that can lead to, really breakthroughs in their performance and their ability to be creative and have impact. And so when these two things kind of came together, I felt like, okay, this is really time for me to step out and to create something that can serve organizations, individuals, leaders in their realization of human potential and becoming the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting. So was there any trigger, Mark, or it was just that the burnout or there was too much of work happening in your life and you realized that no, I need to kind of find the purpose or the meaning and then figure it out? Or there was a trigger, there was an incident.
there were certainly incidents, but when I look back, it was more that I was clear of where I wanted to move to.
Hmm.
So I had clarity, and that was a lot through my own personal coaching journey, where
Ah,
I
okay.
became very clear on what my purpose is in life and how I can make a difference. And of course, I tried to carve that type of work out within the organization. But when I realized that that was not possible, then it was just the very obvious next step is to step out and to do it as an entrepreneur, to kind of step into entrepreneurship. So it was less about burnout or, that I was, um, that I was really dissatisfied with the status quo. And it was more about I have clarity of where I want to go and I'm ready to take that step. It was kind of more coming from that place.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And for our listeners, could you share where you are currently based and how your surroundings influence your work or perspective?
So I'm currently based in Switzerland near
Mhm.
Zurich.
There you
Been here
go.
for, yeah, for about 10 years now. And I work from home,
Hmm.
and I have been working from home for the last 14 years. And that's a very important point, actually, because it has allowed me uh, to be there for my kids as they grow up, which has been
Yeah,
a very important part of this journey as an entrepreneur.
sure.
Some people call it dadpreneurship.
Yeah.
I've been calling it being entrepreneurship. But that has been a very important part of having that surrounding and having that closeness to the family and being able to still do what I'm passionate about. A lot of the delivery of the work also happens online, so that the online technologies have been a real enabler of this work.
Yeah.
The tool that we have developed, the assessment tool, is also online, so that talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But it is pretty amazing how much of this deep transformational work I've been able to do online, and of course not all of it, but a big part of it for sure.
Largely it is online. Okay, great. Let's talk about the core philosophy now. What's the core philosophy behind being at full potential, and how does it differ from traditional approaches to personal and professional growth?
Mm. Mm. So the core philosophy is that we are all whole already, and that each individual human being has tremendous potential within them and has a purpose in their life, um, and has the ability to contribute in a very unique and important way to the world. And so we we really prioritize that starting point.
Mhm.
And then the difference is that some people are further on that journey of expressing that potential than others. So, the way we look at it is everything is already there within each individual.
Right.
And it's just a matter of how much have we been able to nurture it and give life to it and express it, and bring it out into the world. And so we see ourselves really as nurturers of that potential and enablers of it to come out and to flourish. But it's all already there as a starting point.
Very interesting. So let's talk about some of the key barriers. What are the most common barriers that prevent individuals from unlocking their full potential? And how can they begin to overcome these obstacles?
Hmm. key barriers to unleashing their potential.
Is it probably our own thinking that, the way sometimes we undermine ourselves and we say that, oh, this is a tough job, or this is not I'm made for, and we kind of try and stay away from that? Is it that
Yeah.
kind of philosophy?
I do think there's something there about conditioning
Right.
and um, the belief systems that we build up over the years and through the programming and through our education and through our upbringing and through our, the ups and downs of life, that there's limits that we start to put on ourselves. There's beliefs that start to form about who we are and what we're capable of, what we're possible, what is possible. And I think a big part of unleashing human potential is actually stripping away some of those barriers, going back to the core essence and that original fuel that is within us, right?
Yeah.
That exists within all of us. And then maybe recreating the right patterns and the right thought patterns and the right belief systems that will enable us to go through that. But a lot of it is deconstructing, um, yeah, that's I think the best way I can describe it at this moment.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And as I always tell people while coaching, it's skill versus the will, right? I mean, skill is definitely there, as you rightly said. We all have it. It's just the will that sometimes it's missing. That I want to do it. That fire, and
Hmm.
um, and that that's what I think you guys do by clearly telling the people the right kind of potential we all have, and we
Hmm.
undermine this potential a lot of times ourselves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of power in holding people in their fullness. Just as a coach, like how do we see another person? And how it is sometimes a lot easier to see potential in other people than it is to see it in ourselves, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so the power of somebody who is there and can hold that space of like, yes, I can see this in you, I can see this greatness that wants to come through. And the more that I can sort of mirror that back to somebody, the easier it becomes for them to also see it. And I think it's a lot about that process. Like, can I see what is actually already in myself? And then once I see it, can I actually believe it, right? Can
Mm.
I
Mm.
do I trust it, right? And I think that that's also a big part of it is learning to trust what is already there, learning to trust our instincts, right? Our
Sure.
intuition,
Yeah.
this voice that is there and that also has been often suppressed, right? Because we prioritize the rational mind, the thinking, the logic, and that does suppress a little bit of the inner voice that wants to also have a say, right? And I think it's also about rebuilding connection to um, to what we know deep inside, that
Yeah.
deeper knowing level of knowing.
Yeah. So, Mark, that's a good segue to my next question, actually. How do intuition and emotional intelligence contribute to unlocking one's full potential?
I think it plays a huge role, actually,
Hmm.
especially the intuition piece. Emotional intelligence, of course, is connected to it, but I feel like so much of, when we talk about it's already all within ourselves, right? That's the starting point. That is sort of the philosophy behind unleashing human potential. Um, it's that's what I refer to. It's that inner knowing. It's the intuition. It's that inner voice. And so learning to listen to that, learning to trust it, allowing it to guide us. And often it wants to take us into new territory, right? It it wants us to be in the unknown, because in order to move into something new, in order for us to really become, the fullness of who we are, and unleash our potential, we need to let go of some of the things that we're comfortable with, right? And step
Yeah.
into something new. And I think the intuition knows that, right? And it is giving us that guidance. But there's a lot of forces that keep us from doing that. And it's this back and forth, right? Between safety, security, comfort, staying with what we know, and this desire for going out and exploring and adventure, and reaching new, discovering new things, right? That's the call from I think deeper within. And so
Yeah.
learning to manage that um, back and forth, and I think allowing the intuition to be the guiding force, right? And then of course we need to do it in a responsible way, right? We can't go
Yeah.
and resign from our job and not have any idea of what we're going to do, and how we're going to make that work. So there needs to be some a responsible aspect to it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I feel like it's very important in terms of unleashing potential, this willingness to step into new things, right? And to be in the not knowing, at least for a while, right? Until we arrive into somewhere new.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to switch gears and just want to get a little deeper into the tools and techniques, eagerly waiting to kind of hear this part of the section from you. What tools or assessments does being at full potential provide to measure and track individuals' progress on the journey?
Yeah, that's I think a big part of the innovation that
Sure.
we've been able to bring over the last 10, 15, actually 14 years now, since 2010. And it's the development of the human potential assessment. So it's quite a sophisticated measurement tool that
Mhm.
brings a little bit more structure to this very sort of fluid and subjective area of human potential development, right? And one of the reasons why, in organizations at least, there's very little attention that's given to this deeper human development piece, is because it's so intangible. It's hard to grasp. And because something is hard to grasp, we tend to not pay as much attention to it. So the reason for building this tool, it's really as a means to an end, right? It's not the solution in itself, but it's an ability to make this subtle deeper aspects of who we are more tangible, and bring it to the surface, so that, structure it in a framework, give some kind of a measurement to it, in order for people to be able to connect with these dimensions, with these elements of who we are, these deeper human qualities, as we refer to them. And once we're able to visualize it, to then we can have a relationship with it. Then we can start to talk about it. We can start to bring it into the
Mm.
conversation.
I
And
think,
once it's brought in,
sorry, I think that's like a baselining exercise, right? You got to know where I am today, and then you start building on it. Correct?
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely for baseline. It's absolutely for opening up, a deeper conversation around where are we today, right? As an individual, or as a team, or even as a whole organization. We've done assessments across whole organizations to understand where are they from a cultural point of view. What is their culture today, right? How are they
Yeah.
being together in in today's situation? And once you have that baseline, you can start to talk about where do you want to go, right? So it also gives you a map of where do you want to develop? What are the elements of the human potential framework that are speaking to you, and that you want to put your attention to, you want to be developing. So it
Mm.
really brings to the surface, right? It takes something that is underneath the water, if you think of an iceberg, and it brings it to the surface so that we can become aware of it, and we can start to take action on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, can you share some tips and tricks? that individuals can use to start exploring their hidden potential at a very high level? I mean, I don't want to get deeper into it for obvious reasons because it'll take a lot of time and stuff. But at a very high level, any tips?
Well, the portal for human potential development, where the assessment is sitting, it's online tool, it's available, it's free.
Ah,
And
okay.
that's actually been part of my journey as well, is to realize that human potential development is a basic human right. That's one of the big ahas that I've gotten over the last couple of years. And that, so part of my purpose and mission has become to democratize accessibility to human potential development. So the whole platform is open, it's free, people can access it.
Interesting.
And there's a whole range of resources that are available there. So not only the assessment, but then each one of the dimensions of the human potential house, which is the main framework, um, can be explored further. And there's resources, there's exercises, there's challenges people can take. So it has become really a place for personal growth, an online space for personal growth that we're going to continue to build out and improve in the future. But it already has, many very valuable resources there.
Yeah,
And
we'll
then I
put
would
the
say, yeah,
no, I was just saying we'll put the link in our show notes and people can actually go through it.
yeah. And then I would say, just having a practice, having a daily practice uh, is so powerful, and it can be so many different things, right? So for me personally, it's going for a walk in
Mm,
nature, and that just does so many wonders at so many different levels for me. And it doesn't have to be long, but it's the discipline of doing that on a daily basis. Um, that yeah, it's like I really see it as an enabler for me to get in touch with things that are stirring inside, and it
yeah,
often unlocks creativities. If I'm blocked with some issue, then, going out for 40 minutes, an hour, I come back and I have clarity on how to move forward.
yeah,
So I think that works for me. And, there's so many other things that could work for other people. The important thing is to honor that, what nurtures you, right? What nurtures your inner space, your spirit, right? Your soul.
yeah,
What gives fuel to that? And then and dedicate, half an hour um, every day to it, and the benefits will become very, very tangible.
yeah. So, Mark, could you walk us through the end-to-end journey of a specific program at being at full potential that fosters sustained growth? I know you have
Okay.
multiple programs, anything, that comes to your mind of a specific program, which is end-to-end journey, how actually it
Yeah.
entails and unfolds.
Yeah. So let's take the example of a team in an organization. That's what's coming up for me right now.
Sure.
So the beginning would be to really have a kind of an exploration of where is the team today, and it's a very qualitative sensing exercise. What are the challenges? What's keeping them up at night? Where do they feel the tensions are? And to, have maybe a mini workshop to bring that out. And through that, help them understand that this process of unleashing human potential will be a valuable journey for them to go on. So the first thing is really to make sure that there's a good match between where the client is, whether it be a team or an individual, and the type of intervention that we're talking about. Because human potential development is not the solution for every type of problem. So that's the first thing. Is there a good match there? And if there is, the second step would then be uh, for everyone in that team to take the human potential assessment, right? So they'd be
Mhm.
sent a link. They would complete the questionnaire. They would complete the questionnaire in the context of their work within that team. The data would then be aggregated and analyzed on our end. And then
So that'll be the team score. That'll be the
that would
team
be
output.
a team score, right?
Got it. Yeah.
Typically, we would like to do individual debriefs with each person on the team
Mhm.
before we do a team session. So if that's possible to have individual debriefs of half an hour, 40 minutes with each individual, that can be very powerful.
Mhm.
But then the most important part is to have a workshop, at least a 1 day, ideally a 2 day workshop with the team where we do a discovery session on the findings, right?
Okay.
So there's a whole methodology that we have on how to take teams through the results of their human potential assessment and how to work with that data, how to come to deeper insights, and then how to translate that into concrete next steps and things that they're going to be working on in their development. So that's really the discovery, call that the discovery process that we do together with the team. And then of course there's a harnessing um, part that comes afterwards, which is actually putting in place the programs. And it could be follow-up coaching that we do with individuals or with the team. It could be some training programs. It could be, things that they commit to do differently on an ongoing basis. But you need to find what are the new habits, right? What are the new
Yeah.
practices that we're going to do? Because otherwise, you can end up a workshop with a lot of great ideas and a lot of great intentions. But if it's not sustained, then the old habits will, of course, come back very quickly. So
Yeah.
there needs to be a period of, at least three to 6 months of constant remembering what we committed to and practicing those new ways of being together, those new behaviors, until it becomes sort of the new norm, right?
Yeah.
And then ideally 6 months later or a year later, there would be a reassessment, right?
Mhm.
So you have the baseline that you spoke about, and then you would have a reassessment, and you could then actually measure the progress that has been made along these human potential
So one will be
dimensions.
able to see the needle movement clearly that, what happened when I started the program and where I am today.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's of course very important when, when in the context of companies that want to see, is there a good return on our investment
Yeah.
here for this type of programs, right? Um,
Yeah. And all this, is happening online only, when you said,
no, no.
oh, okay.
So
Okay.
everything up until the workshop would be online,
I
and a
see.
lot of after the workshop could also be done online, but the workshop will be in person for sure.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So you did talk about very briefly on the cultural dynamics. I want to kind of get a little deeper into it. In your experience, how do cultural differences influence the journey to realizing one's potential?
Cultural differences. Yeah.
Hmm.
I love that question actually, because um, one of the things that I have really enjoyed about this work and discovered that cultural differences are kind of live on the surface, right?
Hmm.
But human potential development is something that is deeper. And what I have seen over and over again is that when we engage people at the human potential level, right? So through these deeper human qualities, that we find our shared humanity. We see that at the core, we all are yearning for the same thing. We all are
Yeah.
yearning for connection, purpose, meaning. Um, that these deeper values are human values, and that they're not dependent on where we're brought up and what our cultures are. And I'm not saying that those things aren't important. They're absolutely very important, and
Sure.
they're a very important part of who we are. But the focus of human potential development has really been more on the uniting aspects of our humanity. And I feel like we're living in a world today where too much attention is put on our differences and what separates us. And there's not enough attention put on what unites us.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that I love this work so much, right? Because it's
Yeah.
it's 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 bringing a bit more balance into this dynamic.
Yeah, you're bang
And
on. I
so,
think more commonalities piece. We just don't focus as human beings, and we tend to kind of forget that there's a lot of commonality between you and me, and we just start working on the differences rather, or start focusing on differences, and we say no, it's not going to work with me. Yeah.
mm,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, I want to talk about future vision. Where do you see being at full potential in the next decade or so, and what kind of global impact do you hope to achieve?
Hmm. So I already spoke about the democratization of human potential development, thinking of it as a human right, and um, and making this work as easy and accessible to as many people as possible. And I think technology is going to play a big role, or is already playing a big role in that, and will just continue to play a bigger role in it. Whether it be AI, blockchain, these are all kind of technologies I think that are um, democratizing type of technologies, right?
Yeah.
They're allowing people to do more with less, right? They're allowing people to um, yeah. So that's one aspect. I also am pretty convinced that that the future is going to require us to um, to be more connected to who we are, and to live more into our unique human potential.
Mm.
And I think that is because so much of all the other aspects of what we're going to do is, the technology is going to take that over, right? Our identities on work, and I'm so and so, and I do this and this. I feel like that is, we're going to be, that's going to be less of how we identify ourselves, and what is going to be, and it's going to be replaced um, um, by a deeper connection to who we are. I can't really describe it any better, but I feel like these exponential technologies are going to disrupt, and they're
Yeah.
already disrupting. Going to continue to disrupt a lot of um, the ways in which society is thinks about itself today, and people think about themselves today, and it's going to um, um, yeah, shift the focus more to
Yeah.
reconnecting with our humanness.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mark, before we sign off, if I have to ask you to give one advice, one piece of advice to our audience, what would that be? Purely from realizing the full potential standpoint.
What's coming up is the pay attention.
Hmm.
If there's something, then pay attention to it. Learn to pay attention to it, and be curious. Be curious, and it can be a sort of a dissatisfaction with what the status quo is, with what you're doing today. It could be, um, an idea
Hmm.
that has been that keeps kind of popping up, and we ignore it, or we kind of move on. So just pay attention to what is emerging within, and allow it, give it a little bit more space. That's what I would say is um yeah, that
Okay.
I think is a great starting point.
Great. Thank you, Mark, for being with us on this insightful journey. Today, we explored what it truly means to unlock the full potential within ourselves and those around us. Your wisdom reminds us that potential is not just about achieving more, it is about aligning with our authentic selves, embracing growth, and creating meaningful impact. As always, let's unveil something interesting for our listeners. In the recommendation section today, we have picked a beautiful book called The Art of Happiness by the Dalai Lama and Howard Cutler. If you're seeking a guide to true well being and lasting happiness, it's a must read. This timeless masterpiece blends the Dalai Lama's profound wisdom with modern psychological insights, offering practical tools to nurture inner peace and emotional resilience. Through its pages, you'll discover how compassion, mindfulness, and a shift in perspective can transform challenges into opportunities for growth. Inspiring and deeply relatable, this book is more than just a read. It's a journey toward living a more balanced, meaningful, and joyful life. Happy reading. Listeners, as we wrap up, think about the areas in your life where untapped potential might be waiting to emerge. If Mark's insights resonated with you, don't forget to check out Being at Full Potential and explore the tools they offer to support your journey. Stay inspired, keep growing, and remember, your potential is limitless when you choose to nurture it. Until next time on Aspire and Acquire, keep aspiring and keep acquiring. Cheers.